I'm here in Iceland and I'm bikepacking the East Fjords in winter, so I'm going to show you my winter bikepacking setup that I'm going to be using. This is my Sonder Frontier. It's my main bikepacking bike I use, especially during the winter. It's got massive tyre clearance and it can carry lots of stuff. It's got two racks, a Tetra rack at the front from Topeak and a Topeak MTX rack at the back. The fact this has two racks means I can carry lots of stuff, and that's very important when you're bikepacking in winter. You need to carry lots of essentials just in case, because things can go wrong, and if you're not prepared, you can get caught out. I won't spend too long talking about the bike. I've done a whole walkthrough guide on that on my channel. I'll leave a link up there in the description if you want to watch it. But the basic premise of this bike is that it has 3-inch tyres on 27.5-inch wheels. They're not studded or spiked. I don't find that's necessary when it's snow like this. If it's icy conditions, then you might want to think about that. But when it's fairly deep snow, you can just run these at a low pressure and that's normally fine. As you can see at the front, I'm carrying two massive dry bags. I've got a 65-litre Sea to Summit Big River, that's the yellow one, and this 20-litre Alpkit Extra Airlock. The reason I've got these two bags is because this is all of my sleeping stuff and it's pretty hefty, and it needs to be to survive these conditions. I've got a North Face Inferno sleeping bag in the Sea to Summit bag, and that is huge. It's rated down to -40 degrees Celsius, so it is very toasty. But as well as that, I've got sleeping liner, sleeping mat, pillow and all things like that inside this Sea to Summit bag. In the Alpkit bag, I've got a new winter tent. I've been given the Alpkit Kangri to test out. It's a 4-season winter tent, and that was one thing I never had in my arsenal. I always had 3-season tents that I kind of made do during the winter, and it probably wasn't the most sensible option. So I reached out to Alpkit to see if they'd lend me one of their 4-season tents, and they've sent me one, so I'm going to be testing that out. It is super robust, but unfortunately it's quite big and quite heavy, so it doesn't fit in the Sea to Summit bag with all of the other sleeping stuff, so I've had to strap another dry bag to the front of that. So it is quite heavy at the front of the bike. Moving down to the forks, I have some Alpkit Bitonga bags there strapped to passport cages, which are screwed into the tail fin suspension mounts, because obviously this bike has front suspension, so you can't screw stuff directly into it. In here, I have my cooking equipment. I've only gone for a basic setup. I've got a lighter in there, a little gas stove, gas canister, and a Stanley cooking pot with 2 cups. All I'm going to be eating and drinking during this trip is basically hot cups of tea, hot chocolate and dehydrated food that I'm putting the water in. And there's plenty of water to go around, as you can see. You can just boil up a bit of snow and that's absolutely fine. I don't want to take too much cooking equipment. It's very heavy and this bike is already pretty loaded. So that is absolutely fine for me. On the other side, I basically just have food. That's where I keep some of my dehydrated meals, some hot chocolate and tea sachets, things like that. And any other cooking utensils like a spork and stuff goes in there, just so it's all basically cooking and food in the front fork bags. Moving on to the main frame bag, again, this is mostly just food and water. I have a bladder in there which I run through to the bars so that I can access it. I have been getting some tips from some Scandinavian folks, because when I went to Norway in winter, it used to freeze up in the pipe, so I couldn't actually drink from it without basically heating up the water, which was really annoying. So now I've got an insulated bottle in there. I've also got some hand warmers in there to keep it warm if I need to. And also I've been told if you blow the water back into the bladder, that stops it from freezing. So I'm going to be doing that a lot more on this trip. And at the back of the bike, it is basically just clothes and camera equipment. I like to film these adventures, as you know, so I have a tripod sits on top, a camera in the main box, a drone in that pocket that you can see on the right, and on the left is just miscellaneous stuff and clothes. Any other clothes that I'm not going to be using when I'm cycling, basically sleeping clothes, are going in there. It's a really lightweight setup, but it packs a punch. I've got a packable down jacket in there, some joggers, some thermal base layers and socks, things like that are going to be absolutely great when I get inside the tent, inside the sleeping bag and just want to stay warm. And lastly, the top tube bag that I forgot to mention. In there is mostly electronics. I've got a little battery pack in there that will help charge my phone and my Garmin if I need it, and also a little electric pump and spares and repairs. I've got a multi-tool in there, and I also can fit one inner tube in there. The other one goes in the back pannier, so I've got plenty of space. So that's it, that's my winter bikepacking setup for Iceland. I'm going to do a video where I run through all the gear in detail, so if I've uploaded that, make sure that you check that out. I'll leave a link up there. Any questions, stick them in the comments. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.